Sports Q&A mailbag time here on the channel. I really appreciate y'all tuning in. Thanks very much. About 3 weeks ago, I put a post both on Twitter and Facebook stating that I was going to be doing a YouTube video where I answered all your sports Q&A, so get your questions in. Now, I was a little bit off in that promise because I'm going to get to all your questions guaranteed, but it may take me multiple videos because for reasons unbeknownst to me, YouTube will not allow me to upload anything that goes beyond 15 minutes. If I go 15:01, kaput. I can go to 15 minutes, I can go to 14:59, but not anything beyond that. I'm just confused why that is. Hopefully one day that changes. So if you don't hear your question answered here, fret not. I am going to get to it in another Sports Mailbag Q&A question. Just look at my channel and go through all of them. Your question will be answered in them accordingly. I'm going to be recording those here in the next day plus. All right, let's get to the first part of questions. This one comes from Tim Watt. That's Whaatt. Good friend of mine on Twitter. I always enjoy interacting and mixing it up with him. He wants to know a question about Shohei Ohtani. Actually, a few. Wants to know, do I think the Angels re-sign him? And if not, where do I see his destination being when they ultimately trade him? I think Arte Moreno is going to make every move in his power to re-sign him, especially now that he's supposedly not selling the team, much to the chagrin of a lot of people in Southern California, namesakely Orange County, and Angels fans. I think he's going to do everything in his power to keep Ohtani re-signed, and he can't not make that effort. Ohtani is such a rare specimen who, can subsequently dominate on the mound and with the bat at the same time. We've never seen that. I know Babe Ruth was a pitcher, a very good pitcher that won 100 games, but Yankees ultimately realized this kid is too good with the bat to have just start once every 5 days, and they weren't forward thinking then like they are now. So this is rare. This is completely rare. Guy could win a Cy Young and win a batting title and a home run crowd all in the same year. It's you've not seen that. So I think Anaheim's going to make every effort to re-sign him, but possibility they don't. There are 3 teams, I think, right off the bat that are most likely to land him. And no, one of them is not going to be the New York Yankees, believe it or not. Even though I think that seems to be the fit that everybody wants to see because of the Babe Ruth loose tie-in. But the 3 teams, number 1, the New York Mets. First things first, they have the prospects. They have the number 1 overall prospect in baseball in Francisco Alvarez. They've got a really, really good young third baseman prospect who is number 18 or 19 overall in Brett Baty. Okay, they've got several other top 100 prospects that would absolutely appeal to what Anaheim's looking for. They're gonna break the bank. Believe me, it's going to be bigger than what I think Washington got back from San Diego for Juan Soto, just because of the uniqueness of Ohtani. But I could honestly see Alvarez, Baty, and another, top 100 prospect, maybe a big leaguer like Tyler McGill or someone along that avenue, and another lower level prospect that may not be as hyped now, but has that ceiling. I could certainly see the Angels saying yes to that if they have to trade Ohtani. When it comes to re-signing him, look, we know what Steve Cohen is. Steve Cohen will open the checkbook. He does not give a damn. And if he needs to give a blank check to re-sign Ohtani, he will do it without hesitating twice. Why did Mets need him? I mean, everybody could use an Ohtani, let's be realistic. So could certainly use the bat in the lineup. That is a foregone conclusion. That is a given. He, Lindor, I mean, that's intriguing. Some of the bats they already have there. Brandon Nimmo. Could certainly use that bat, but pitching-wise, think about this right now. You'd have a 3-headed monster of Ohtani, Justin Verlander, and Max Scherzer. That's nasty. That is, right now, it's vile how good that could be. On top of it, though, Ohtani, look, he's only 27 years old. The best of his career is upon him now, and he's got years to come. We can't say that about Scherzer. We can't say that about Verlander. I mean, Scherzer's 38, Verlander's, I believe, 40, 41. They'll be great now. How long are they going to be great before Father Time catches up to them? So that's where Ohtani fills in, steps in, and okay, I'm going to take over as the ace, undisputed ace, not 1A and 1B. When these guys step aside, retire, what have you. God forbid Father Time catches up to them, whatnot. It's bound to happen. Again, they're both over 38 years old. Team number 2 I can see in the mix is the Los Angeles Dodgers. I certainly see him staying in the LA area, moving from Orange County up north up the Pacific Coast Highway. And we know they got the prospects to make this happen. Diego Catara, the number 8 prospect in baseball, maybe not as high regarded as Alvarez, but he is pretty damn high regarded. I mean, it's, maybe a tick below. It was he and Gabriel Moreno that were considered the 1A second prospect behind Alvarez, with Alvarez being on his own tier. I mean, they could certainly give him up. Catara, Bobby Miller, a outstanding young pitching prospect that they're really reluctant to give up. I could see them giving him up in this deal, and I could certainly see the Angels wanting him back because they're going to need pitching. They're going to need somebody to fill that void. They need it anyway without Ohtani. They're certainly going to need it with him gone. There's a few other prospects the Dodgers have in their system. Andy Pages, who has a tantalizing skill set of power, speed, and bat contact. You're talking a guy who's 270 and above with 30 homer, 20 steal potential, if not more. That could certainly appeal to the Angels because they're going to need that bat, and God knows Mike Trout ain't getting any younger. So there's number 2. Number 3, here's my sleeper, and that's the St. Louis Cardinals. If the Angels want people that they can slot into the major league roster now, guys that can be starters from day one, the moment they acquire them, that have a little bit of big league experience but some ceiling. The Cardinals could very easily and would offer Dylan Carlson, Nolan Gorman as their starting launching point. Maybe throw in shortstop prospect Mason Wynn, who is a top 100 guy. Those are 3 right off the bat that really could cause Anaheim to start, the LA Angels, I'm still Anaheim to me, but could cause the Angels to pause. You get a guy you can slide in right there, 2 guys you can slide in as starters right now, and still remain somewhat as competitive as they're going to be. Let's be honest, this team has Trout and Ohtani, and they're not really competitive. So, but at least Gorman and Carlson would give them a nucleus to start with, to build upon. And hopefully guys like Joe Adell take that next step from there. Why did the Cardinals do it? Hey, we know they need starting pitching. Bad. They need that ace pitcher in the worst possible way. Bat-wise, they could certainly use him as a DH. They could use him in that lineup, with, let's be honest, Arenado's really good. I mean, Goldschmidt's coming off an MVP caliber season where he won the MVP. There is no caliber to it. The guy is the reigning NL MVP. And I'm going to tell you, there is not a player in sports as a human being I like more than Paul Goldschmidt. Goldie's 36 years old. Okay, Arenado's in his mid-30s. I think he's 32, 33. Father time, guys. They're going to need that young bat. Ohtani's 27. Get that bat, that pitch. That's intriguing, and I think the Cardinals would certainly make that jump. And are they willing to spend the money? That's been the question. Are the Wits willing to spend? I didn't stop him from signing Goldschmidt to an extension. Didn't stop him from signing Arenado. I don't think it would stop him from signing Ohtani. Let's see. Question number 2, as I'm already 8 minutes in, I'm definitely going to have to get to another video here. Question number 2, we're going to go from Cryptocurrency3 on Twitter, at Cryptocurrency3. He wants to know, what teams do I think will go from rags to riches in the NFL last year? And he's talking about, mentioned Jacksonville and Cincinnati as teams, as examples from each of the last 2 seasons. So who do I think makes that drastic jump from worst to first next year and makes the playoffs and possibly goes a little bit further? Well, being we're talking drastic, I'm going to throw the mention of the Commanders out the window because they won 8-8 in a brutal division. I'm going to even throw the Jets out there because they were a quarterback that's younger than 38 years old and going to be on the next cast of Jurassic Park away from being good. Oh, by the way, Zach Wilson ain't it. Sorry, Jets fans. He just ain't that guy. I said that when he was coming out of BYU, and it's proven to be right. They're a quarterback away from being a nasty team. They're a quarterback away, I'm going to say, from being a Super Bowl contender. But being they were a 7-win team that, was in playoff contention up until the end of the season, they don't really count as drastic. The 2 that really pop right out to me, actually I'm going to say the 3 that pop right out to me, or even Carolina, did they mix? But we'll just say the 2 because I don't know if Carolina fits that mold. They looked really good at the end of the year and we're close. The drastic ones I'm going to say come from the AFC South. That's Houston and Indianapolis. Indy, to me, is the most likely because they are not far off. As you recall, a little over 13 months ago, they went into Week 18 very much controlling their own playoff destiny. All they needed to do was win against a lowly, woe-begone Jaguars team that just could not wait to get the season over soon enough and move on to the next chapter. They'd have been in the playoffs. They win that game, they're in. They lost. And that really proved to be the beginning of the end of Frank Reich's coaching tenure, which is shameful because I think Reich did a lot better with the circumstances he was handed in Indianapolis than people realize. I think he will be a head coach, not this cycle, but next, and somebody's going to get a good one. But whoever they hire as head coach, they're walking into a very, very good situation. A team that, as again, I think could make a quick turnaround. You look at the pieces they got. The defense, solid. They've got a solid offensive line with the best guard in the game in Quentin Nelson. They've got a really, really good center in Ryan Kelly. They've got a good right tackle in Braden Smith. The pieces of the line are there. They might need a left tackle. They could upgrade there. Might need another guard. But this team is not that far off with the offensive line. And you look at the offense as a whole. I mean, we all know what Jonathan Taylor is. Probably one of the top 5 halfbacks, and I'm being loose in saying that, so I'm having this number 1 in the NFL, one of the best running backs in the NFL. Michael Pittman, to me, I think is a budding superstar wide receiver waiting to happen once they get a quarterback that isn't, covering the scab on a massive wound away. They get the franchise quarterback or even an above average good quarterback. I think Pittman blows up. I like Alec Pierce. I like Campbell, their other wide receiver. The big common denominator here is they need a quarterback. And that's been Chris Ballard's biggest failure thus far as GM. He hasn't had many failures. He's been a very, very good one. But the inability to fill that QB spot since the sudden retirement of Andrew Luck has been alarming. I mean, they went out, they got, gave the contract extension to Jacoby Brissett, thinking that, his spot starts would elevate him to, being a good starter in the NFL. He isn't. I mean, he's good for spot starting, and that's it. You want him to be a spot starter, he won't kill you, but he's not the guy you want under center for an entire season. Went out and got Phillip Rivers the next season. Phillip Rivers did fine. There's nothing wrong with the performance Phillip Rivers put up in Indianapolis. But they knew what they were getting into the moment they acquired him. It was going to be a short-term fix, at most 2 years, and I say loosely at most. They were getting Phil at the end of his career. If it had been 2014, Phillip Rivers, it still had about 5 or 6 years left. Yeah, that's a great move. This, it again, covered up the big scab on the wound. They tried with Carson Wentz. They absolutely tried. I know what they were cooking. Maybe it's just a change of scenery, getting out of Philadelphia, going back with Frank Reich, who publicly stumped for him. Maybe they thought they could recapture that lightning in a bottle. I don't know what's going on with Carson Wentz, though. I mean, there is something fundamentally off with this man, whether it's mentally, physically. I don't know what's up. But ever since that MVP caliber season in 2018, where he got hurt and, right near the end of it, and the Eagles wound up winning the Super Bowl, he's been all over the damn map. I mean, he's about to get let go by the Commanders, and he's running perilously close to becoming backup. He may have to take a job as a backup next year, which is inconceivable to me. And I just say that didn't work out. Then they go out and get Matt Ryan, another Phillip Rivers. Maybe adequate, but he wasn't. I'm just saying, Father Time has caught up with him, and it showed last year, and even more so this year. But you're putting staples on a major wound. They need to fix it. Now, mercifully, they've got that number 4 overall pick in the draft, and I'm gonna give an unpopular opinion here. If I'm Chris Ballard, I stand pat. I'm not trading up. I'm not giving up multiple draft assets to move up 3 spots and get Bryce Young when there's a very real possibility you get C.J. Stroud at 4 and give up nothing. And I don't think there is that significant of a drop between the two. In fact, you look at Stroud, I mean, he did a hell of a lot better against Georgia than Young did. And he's bigger. He's the prototype body, 6'3". He's 215, 220 pounds. Put on 10 pounds of muscle in the NFL, which he will. That's a 6'2", 6'3", 300 or 230-pound quarterback that can run the football, that makes good throws, that has not faded on the big stage. It actually has showed a caliber of being an elite quarterback. That'd be foolish for them to move up when they could get Stroud. But my point is, I think they're a quarterback away, even one that's adequate, from being a playoff team next year, and even winning the division, because that division's wide open. Last, I also mentioned Houston, and I'm out of time here, so I'm going to do video number 2 in a moment. But Houston, I mean, look, they got 2 picks in the top 12. Get themselves a quarterback. That's needed. They could get one of the wide receivers, whether it's JSN Johnson or Addison. I mean, that's a hell of a launching point, along with Pierce, Damon Pierce, their running back. They've got the pieces in place. Defense is okay. I mean, it's on the rise. The offensive line is solid enough. I don't think Houston's that far off either. Now, they may be a little bit of a longer shot next year in Indianapolis. So if you ask my Who's my worst to first? I'm going to say the Colts next year. All right, I'm out of time. 15 minutes is up. We'll do video 2 here in a moment.